Hello, everybody. My name is James Johnson, and I come from the University of Utah. In the next few minutes, I'm going to tell you a bit about American values. In my speech, I will also discuss the difference between American and Danish values. The center of all American values is freedom. It includes political freedom, freedom of speech, religious freedom, economic freedom, and personal freedom. These values of freedom started way back in the Declaration of Independence in 1776, where the people we know as the American today fought and gained their freedom.
Americans tend to see that freedom and equality go together and that the role of government is to protect the rights of the people. However, the ideal has not always corresponded to the reality. If you look at the American history and see that slavery existed until the Civil War, and some social groups right now in America is not as free as others, they tend to not have the same opportunities as other social groups. Even though they have those problems, Americans tend to look at how their society is built upon many ethnicity and how people come to their country to build a better life.
The Americans really like to think of themselves as individual people, meaning that they do not have to depend on anyone else as long as they work hard and they can achieve whatever they desire. The reason why the independent and individual feeling is so deep buried in the American values is because of the history. Back in the 1800s, where the gold rush was at its peak, all Americans thought that if they just worked hard, they would find gold and get rich fast. The idea of the American dream spread out fast, and thousands of immigrants was coming to the United States trying to get rich and be the architect of their own future, or fortune. Most of the Americans and the immigrants looked upon America as a country with limitless wealth, which meant that many resources and animals were drained and killed. For example, the buffalo was almost killed to extinction because people believed it was limitless. Therefore, abundance has become an important part of the American values today, and a lot of non-profit organizations work hard every day to prevent extinction of American animals.
The fact that the Americans see themselves as independent people makes them also have the do-it-yourself mindset. In communities, they tend to help people through privately initiated rather than government sponsored. And it is mostly done through volunteerism work where social groups meet and solve problems together without the government. The idea of idealizing comes through the massive amount of immigrants. High mobility is a very common in America, and it is seen as a practical way of improving your life. Americans are willing to move far for a job or for the right college. Distance is not a big issue in America. Family in America means a lot. They care a lot about what they leave for the next generation. When it comes to families, it is all about projects. In the early stages of America, the opening of the West, families did everything they could to improve the life of the generation.
There are, of course, some difference between the Danish and the American society. If you look at some of your values, the Danish values, then we can see that in some points you are different to us. You do not have the same picture of the individual people as we have. In Denmark, there's this unwritten rule called Janteloven, which says you cannot see yourself as being better than others.
Also, the Danish tend to be more scared about moving away from their friends, family, and everything they know just to get a work or study in another city, while the Americans are more willing to go far away for their dreams no matter the circumstances.
Danes do not have the same view on making your own money. In America, you're more likely to be on your own. If you're poor, you're poor. But if you're poor in Denmark, you'll get help from the state for the social security net. The redistribution in America is very bad compared to Denmark, and we do not have a social security net as big as the Danish. Volunteerism is also different from the Danish and American society. Americans do volunteerism by helping each other and making things happen in their communities, while the Danish people save more in taxes and therefore they help the needy thought it. and some in Denmark pay different emphasis. If you do not have any questions, then thank you for listening. This was my presentation about the American values.